University. We are very happy to welcome you to Gainesville. Student success is something that's very important at the University of Florida. I've been at UF now almost 15 years. Earned my PhD at Florida, so officially I've become a Gator about 4 years ago now. So I've worked with our student success initiatives and our Match in Florida Opportunity Scholars program for nearly that entire time. The first 3 years I worked in our new student and family programs and orientation preview area as well. So you can see some of our graduates here on top. One of our goals is not only to admit students to the University of Florida, but provide you with the resources and opportunities to be successful so that you can get to this graduation point as the first in your family to graduate from college is important to us. I know earlier we were asked how first generation is defined. At the University of Florida, we define that as neither parent has earned a bachelor's degree. So for us, we, however, work with any student who feels like they could use a little bit of extra support and help. There are other resources at UF as well. If our students don't officially meet that definition of first generation student success, we have other resources at UF as well. But feel free, we never turn a student away, so always feel free to start with our office. So we are, let me move my slides, hopefully, there we go. So we are proud to be a top 7 public institution. So if you think about all of the colleges and universities that identify as a public institution, which are a lot across the country, the University of Florida is in that top 7. We serve about 56,000 students. That is a combination of law students, medical students, undergraduate students, which when you finish high school and start college, you would be considered an undergraduate student. So at UF, there's about 33,000 undergraduate students, so a big place. About 11% of those undergraduate students do identify as first generation. And so for a top public institution with incredibly brilliant and bright and talented and smart students, the fact that 11% of them are first generation is something that we're really proud of. You can see kind of our racial and ethnic breakdown also on this slide, which we think is important. You know, diversity and celebrating a variety of races and ethnicities is really important, and being an institution that is inclusive. We strive to always do better, to take action and to really make change on our campus to help our students who identify as whoever, but identify particularly as our underserved students, that they feel at home and comfortable on our campus. Some opportunities that our office works with. First of all, we are the campus-based liaison for foster care alumni. We don't have a specific, like our peers at Florida State who have the Unconquered Scholars Program, we don't have a specific program for foster alumni. However, they fold into so many of the other programs that we offer, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But being the campus-based liaison, we do work with students who are in high school, who are going through the application and admissions process. If there's a specific question that you have, feel free to reach out to myself or to my team. And then we also work really closely with our Bursar's office and our Student Financial Affairs office to make sure that the waiver all gets processed in good amount of time. So we just kind of help usher that program or that process along. We do have a first year Florida curriculum at UF, which is an actual class. It's a 1 credit hour class where students get introduced to the University of Florida. It's not rocket science, it's not really difficult class, but it can be really valuable for you to understand the resources, get to meet some key people, and develop kind of some of those early connections. We have a first generation organization. This is a student organization. A lot of our foster care alumni are first generation college students, which is why you know, we are the campus-based liaison for foster care alumni. A lot participate in our first generation student organization. We have so my team is pretty small. It's myself and then 2 assistant directors and 2 graduate assistants. So there are kind of a few of us around, but we have this pretty robust advocate program where about 200 faculty and staff from across campus have signed our pledge to support first generation students. And so we have a website which identifies all of those people and their contact information. And they serve as our first generation advocates. So for a student who is studying, let's say, engineering, they can look at that list of advocates and they can see who in the College of Engineering is a first generation advocate, and then the student can reach out to that person. And so again, I think we're a pretty powerful and strong team. However, we do elicit support from across campus as well. We have a life coach program, which is really important. We find that first generation students who are first in their families to go to college, but they're also first in their families to graduate from college and prepare for what's next. And that can honestly be pretty daunting also. So we have a host of life coaches who students can be paired with who will help in that transition after college. So if you want to go to medical school or you want to, become an accountant and nobody in your family has done either of those things, let's say, you can be paired with somebody who has experience and who would serve as your life coach to help you kind of in those next stages of your life. So that is a really valuable program. And then we do a lot of leadership development as well and have a specific kind of prestigious Academy of Leadership that a lot of our students participate in as well. So we have the first generation student success initiatives, but then we also have this Match in Florida Opportunity Scholars Program. And not all foster care alumni will qualify, but a lot do. And so I think it's valuable for you all to understand about this program. Essentially, it is a full ride, meaning we cover every single cost that you have to be a student at UF, from tuition, housing, books, computer, like spending money, all of it is covered by this program. And you can see here that it is a scholarship, so it meets the full cost of attendance for up to 8 semesters, which is generally 4 years. The majority of our students finish in 4 years, or a bachelor's degree. If you bring in credit to the university, then sometimes you'll graduate before 4 years. You can see the eligibility there. So admitted first time in college, that's what that acronym means, FTIC, first time in college, which unfortunately means we cannot support transfer students as a part of this program. But if you have a high school dual enrollment, a high school AA degree, you can be considered as long as you're admitted as a freshman, as a first time in college student. First generation, lower income family, limited assets. You have to be a Florida resident. Part of our funding comes from the state, which is why the Florida resident is there. And our scholars need to be US citizens or permanent residents so that they are eligible for federal financial aid also. The program, as you can see here below, it is both a scholarship and a program. So we are going to fund you, AKA pay for your costs at UF, but then we're also going to require that you engage with our program and get to know our staff and our peer mentors, as you can see there. And we do have a renewal requirement of a pretty minimal GPA. Almost all of our students have no problem meeting that GPA, as well as the earned credit hours every year. But we track all of that and we reach out to students who might be falling below. We have 350 freshmen this year who are Match-in Scholars. And so every year we take in 350. Our goal is to raise up to 400 in the next few years, provided that we can fundraise for this program successfully, and which we have for several years. We'll also be celebrating 15 years of this program next year. And the program is named after our former president of the university, President Match-in. So this is, again, a really kind of shining star at UF. This is a program that has supported and funded about 3,300 students in these last 15 years who are now proud UF graduates. So definitely something to consider. I will tell you that the only way, you don't have to necessarily apply separately for this program, but you do have to be admitted to the University of Florida. So once you are admitted, then our financial aid office reviews your FAFSA, which is actually, I think, on the screen coming up in just a minute. But reviews your FAFSA, and from there, if you are eligible, if you meet these requirements, then you will be contacted, and you'll know before you have to decide if you're going to come to UF whether or not you qualify for this program. So we are what's called a last dollar scholarship. So what that means is everybody gets a different amount based on what funding you bring with you. So all of our students are Pell eligible, for instance. Many of them have Bright Futures funding. Some of them have the Best Student from Hillsborough County scholarship, let's say. And so they bring all of those supports with them, and then our program fills in the gap up to the full cost of attendance. So on average, it's about $10,000 a year per student. And at any given time, we have about 1,250 scholars who are in the program, 350 freshmen, as I mentioned a second ago. We do this individual and collective student support. You saw on the slide before this kind of curriculum, first year, second year, third year, fourth year. Those are all the things that we kind of provide. And so our academic tracking and follow-up, we reach out if you're not doing so hot in some classes and have some needs to connect with one of our full-time staff, for instance. We do lots of celebratory events. You can see Dr. Match-in in that bottom right photo on the screen. He and his wife, Chris, are retired now, but they still live in Gainesville and come to a lot of our events and really enjoy meeting our scholars. So here's the eligibility timeline for this scholarship. You do have to be admitted to UF. The deadline to apply for admission at UF is November 1st. So I would, encourage those of you who are current seniors in high school to be working on your application. It is open now, but it'll be due in November. And then it takes the university between November and February to make a decision. And so between that time, what you'll want to definitely be doing is working on your FAFSA. We do encourage you to have it in by the December 15th deadline. And then we'll want you to always be checking your UF email, which is your Gator link. And that is something that you will sign up for when you apply for admission to UF. And so again, it'll walk you through. You'll just want to hang on to your sign in and login credentials. That is where you will check to see if you have been admitted, for instance. And you'll want to keep an eye on that because like I said, there's nothing you really need to do in order to apply for the MFOS program. Some of you who have been around for a while, there used to be a supplemental application. We've done away with that in this last cycle. So there's nothing, again, that students are going to need to do. If we contact you and say, congratulations, you're going to be offered the match and scholarship, you'll have to, at that point, certify that you are, in fact, first generation, Florida resident, all of those things. And so there will be something you have to do, but you'll do it on the back end. So we want you to be in the habit of checking your email. And we do our very best. Last year, we were able to meet this. We do our very best. We do review students individually for this scholarship, but we want to make that award to you ahead of May 1st so that you can make your decision about if you want to be a Gator, knowing you're going to have a full scholarship or not. So the goal is to make those awards ahead of the May 1st, which is a national admissions confirmation deadline. I'm not sure if you all if everybody knows what that means necessarily, but May 1st is a national deadline that you have to decide, are you going to go to FSU or FAU or USF, or are you going to be a Gator and come to UF on May 1st? And that is like a national agreement. So we want to make sure we tell you ahead of that time, right, that you're going to be an MFOS scholar. So that kind of wraps up my quick overview today. I would encourage you to, if you have questions, always reach out. There is not a silly question. We are here to support you.